Hi everybody! In this video I'm going to show you how to single crochet decrease in 3 different ways while making amigurumi. Now if you saw my last video you would know that I prefer to work with the wrong side facing outward when I make my amigurumi. Now you can still watch this video and follow along to do these decreases and it will be completely the same, except for at one point, which I'll let you know. So the first method of single crochet decrease is what I would consider the regular decrease method. So here's my sample here, and I'm just going to show you how to do a regular single crochet. Got our hook here. We put our hook through the first stitch, yarn over, pull through. Put our hook through the second stitch, yarn over, pull through. We now have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is considered a regular single crochet decrease. So let me just do a few single crochets and then show you again. We put our hook through the first stitch, yarn over, pull through. Put our hook through the second stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook. We yarn over and pull through all 3. Now, even though I showed you how to do this, I'm going to tell you right now that you do not want to do this when you're making amigurumi. And I will show you why with this piece. This is my sample piece, and as you can see, this is a regular one. As you can see, there are very noticeable big holes in this piece, and already there's some stuffing coming out of them. I can quite easily put my hook in here, pull out more stuffing if I want to. You do not want this to happen when you're making amigurumi. You do not want stuffing to be coming out like this. And I'll show you why this happens. Let me get this piece back. The reason this happens is because when you make amigurumi, you need a very tight gauge. Tight gauge is the tension, how tight you can pull your yarn and keep it tight and make those stitches tight so that you don't get gaps in between that you can see the stuffing through. And the reason this happens, let me show you. You yarn over to the first one, and then you yarn through the second one, pull through. And as you can see, I naturally want to pull my hook as far away as possible. And by doing that, I'm making this quite loose. And when I yarn over, pull through all 3, it's going to create larger holes than are actually necessary and needed or wanted when making amigurumi. So I'll show you the second method. And this second method is what most people use when making amigurumi. This method is called the invisible single crochet decrease. Now, there's a problem here. When you're working with the wrong side facing outward, your front and back loops get swapped around. So let me show you. If I put this with the right side facing outward, now I'll show you how the invisible single crochet decrease is done normally. We take our hook, we go through the front loop only. Oh, here, hold on. I think that was blurry. Put it through the front loop only of the first stitch. We take our hook, go through the front loop only of the second stitch. Then we yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And that's how you do the invisible single crochet decrease method when you're working with the right side facing out. So let me show you it again. Put your hook through the front loop only of the first stitch, then through the front loop only of the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, as I said, if you're doing this with the wrong side facing outwards like I do, you have to do this a little bit differently. And this is where it gets kind of tricky too. Instead of going through the front loops, we now have to go through the back loops only. So put our hook through the front through the back loop only, the first stitch, then we go back over, through the back loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. If you saw, let me do it again, this is a little bit tricky to do through the back loops. And personally, I don't prefer doing this method of decrease. So let me do it again. I put my hook through the back loop only of the first stitch. Then I have to pull it forward again and then go through the back loop only of the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is how you do the invisible single crochet decrease. So let me show you the examples that I have for that. Here we go. This is with the wrong side facing out, and this is with the right side facing out. As you can see, if we compare it to our regular decrease, you can tell this is the regular decrease method again because of the very big holes. And the invisible decrease pretty much fixes that. I can try and put my hook through. It does in some spots, but it's much better. This is the right side facing out. As you can see, pretty clean, very nice. And this is probably why most people prefer this method. It's very simple, works very well, and much better than the regular decrease. However, when you're working with the wrong side facing out, you get a little bit of an issue with this. And the issue for me, I don't know if you can see this, but some of these, the decrease stitches, they bunch up and they get kind of ugly looking. It ruins the flow of the piece. It doesn't look as clean. I don't know, it may just be me. I just might be a little too picky, but I don't know, right there, there's a decrease you can see. Yeah, I don't prefer this method, and I'll show you why, because I've actually found a way to do this, I think, better. And actually, I've been doing this for years, and I thought what I was doing was just a regular single crochet decrease. But just about a month ago, I was getting my pattern translated to Spanish. And my Spanish translator saw my pattern and saw how I described how to do a single crochet decrease. And she said to me, you know, you're not doing this right. What are you doing? This is a little weird. I don't know how I'm going to translate this. And that's when I found out that I have been, for the last 10 years at least, doing decreases a little bit weird. And I like to call this method the skip stitch decrease. And it's pretty simple. It is exactly as it sounds. So here we have the work. To do this decrease, you see the first stitch, we're gonna completely skip it. We go put our hook into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And as you can see, I just did a single crochet. That's it. I skipped a stitch and then did a single crochet. So let me do a few more single crochets and I'll show you it again. We're going to skip the first stitch. Don't put your hook in there. Just put your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on your hook. And that's all you have to do. Let me do it one more time. We skip the first stitch, put our hook into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now you're probably wondering, Mev, you're skipping a whole stitch. Isn't there going to be a gap or something? Well, let me show you the example piece I have here, and you can see for yourself. This is the skip stitch method, and as you can see, not very big holes when I compare it to the regular decrease. Once again, quite big holes. This one, not really. And as you can see now, if I compare this to the invisible decrease method with the wrong side facing out, the work does look a lot cleaner too. Like you can see some bigger loops here on the invisible decrease method. There's something going on around here. I'm not sure, but here, pretty clean. Now, when you're doing this method of skip stitching, I have to admit it is not perfect. And if you cannot have a tight gauge, you have trouble keeping your work tight, this could be a problem for you, and you may want to just stick with the invisible decrease method. I mean, if you're doing it with the wrong side facing outward, it could, I mean, this isn't that bad. Most people wouldn't notice that something seems a little off, maybe with those stitches. So you could just keep doing that. Or if you're doing it with the right side facing outward, I mean, it is pretty good. So why change it? If you're doing invisible decrease method and you like it, then keep on going. But if you're working the wrong side facing out and you've noticed that little strange quirk with the invisible decrease method and you want to try something new, maybe you'll want to do the skip stitch method I've showed you here. Now, there's some things that you will want to do when doing this method to help yourself. One of those is, first of all, the tighter gauge. That really helps. Also, when you're doing several rounds in a row of decreasing, you want to stagger those stitches. Most patterns will tell you to decrease on the very first stitch of each round and do that repeat of the pattern around. And that is going to cause holes when you're doing the staggered method. Doing the, oh my goodness, the skip stitch method. So you want to stagger the stitches. So what do I mean? If my last round was decrease, then single crochet into the next 5 stitches. The next round is going to tell you decrease, single crochet into the next 4 stitches. But you don't want your decrease to start at the beginning of the round where that last decrease is, because you're going to have a hole that's going to appear. So what you do is you stagger it. Instead of decreasing right away, you single crochet into 2, then you do the decrease, then you single crochet into the next 4 stitches like the pattern tells you to. 2, 3, 4. And then you keep repeating that decrease till you get to the very end, and at the end of that round you're going to decrease and single crochet into just the last 2 stitches. This is what staggering your decreases is. So basically, when you have a round that has an even number of single crochets after a decrease, you divide that number. So in this case, the number was 4 by 2, and then you start the round by single crocheting those 2 single crochets first, then doing the decrease. And the one last tip I have is to try not to overstuff your work. That is really important, because if you overstuff your work, it doesn't matter what decrease method you use, it will show and it will push your stitches apart and cause problems. So I hope that helps. And if you're like me and like to work with the wrong side facing outward, maybe you can give this skip stitch method a try and tell me what you think about it. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.